Okay, so for Unit 7 Objective 2 worksheet, we're going to just go over a couple problems here in case you had trouble. So I'm going to take a look at question number 5 first. So for question number 5, it says to convert the following circle equations to descriptive form, and to do that by completing the square. And then once you're done with that, they want you to identify your state, your center, and your radius. So this is question number 5. So the first thing I want to do is I want to rearrange and put things in order. So what's tricky about number 5 is there's not an x term that goes with that. So when I rearrange this, I don't have an x term. So that means I don't need to complete the square with the x squared. It just means my horizontal shift is 0. But here I have a y term, so that means I'm going to have to complete the square with the y squared. So I'm going to have to figure out what's the constant I want to add so that this trinomial becomes a perfect square. And then this minus 12, I want to add 12 to both sides. So when I add 12 to here, it turns into 0, and 0 plus 12 is 12. So now to complete the square, I think of, all right, on this little section right here, if I add negative 6 to itself, that gives me my negative 12. And so then when I find my constant, it's the product of those. And so negative 6 times itself gives me 36. And so if I add 36 to this, I also have to add it to the right. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And then once I get to here, I want to factor. So x squared won't group into anything different because there's not a linear term with it. And then here when I factor, I will get y minus 6 times itself, and then combine 12 and 36, which is 48. So then my center will be 0, because of no horizontal shift, and my vertical shift, or k, will be 6. And then my radius, so this is my radius squared, so my radius will be the square root of that, and then I want to simplify that. So 48 is the same as 16 times 3. I don't know that root. And the square root of 16 is 4. So there's the center and radius. Okay. Then the other question I want to do, so let's take a look at number 11. So this is number 11. So I want to rearrange. So this time I have to move 16x over and 5y over, and then the 101 over 4 to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 16x over, leave a place for my constant, and then I have a y squared. And I'm going to add the 5y over, leave a place for my constant. And then I want 101 over 4, since it's not a variable, over to this side. So equals negative 101 over 4. And then I'm going to have two values that I need to add here, so I'm going to have two values that I'm going to add over here as well. Okay, so subtract the 16x over, add the 5y over, subtract 101 over 4. So two numbers that add up to negative 16 are negative 8 and negative 8. So their product gives me my constant. So that'll be 64. So two numbers that add up to 5. So half of 5, right? So we always want to split it in half equally, or 2.5. And so then their product gives me my constant, so 5 times 5, 2 times 2. So I added 64 and 25 over 4. Okay. And then now I want to factor my x trinomial and factor my y trinomial. So negative 8 and negative 8 are my factors. And because it's the same twice, I can write squared. 5 over 2 and 5 over 2 are my factors. And then now I want to add these together. So I have do a little arithmetic over here. 101. So I'm going to combine these two, right, because they have a common denominator already. Minus 25. So that would be 76. And then that is 19. So 76 divided by 4 is 19. And then I want to add those, or subtract, so that would be 45. There we go. And so then my center will be positive 8 and negative 5 over 2. And then this is my radius squared. So then my radius will be the square root of 45, which is 9 times 5. I don't know 5's root. And the square root of 9 is 3. And 5. Okay. Alright, and one more. We are going to do the dilation, which is number 14. So let's take a look at 14. So for question 14, this is a lot like the questions above. It just sounds, more difficult. But they're essentially asking you that if you have this circle right here, they want to know that this is a dilation, meaning a larger or smaller version of a circle that has a radius of 6 and a center of 4, negative 1. So I want to know, is this circle bigger or smaller than this circle? And I'm going to do that by showing that the center of the first circle is the same as the center of the second. And the only way to do that is to have it in descriptive form. So I essentially want to put this in descriptive form. So I need to first make it look like the questions above. So I want it to look like these. So I don't want this setup, right? I need to distribute to get rid of that product. So I'm going to distribute in the x and distribute in the y. And then equal to 208. So now that it's like the questions above, I can go ahead and complete the square on each of those. So I need to figure out the constant to make this trinomial perfect square. So I know if I add negative 4 to itself, that gives me negative 8. And their products give me the constant I'm searching for. So negative 4 times negative 4. I know 1 plus 1 gives me 2, and so then their product gives me the constant to make it a perfect square. If I add 16 to the left, I have to add it to the right. If I add 1 to the left, I have to add 1 to the right. So now I want to factor my x trinomial, factor my y trinomial, and combine my terms. So this will be x, and then these are my factors, minus 4 twice, y plus 1, those are my factors, and I have 2 of them. And then I want to add these, so that would be 225. So my center is at positive 4, negative 1, with a radius of 15. Because this is r squared, so the square root of 225 is 15. Oops, let me uncover that. So now what they're asking us is, now that I know my center and my radius, so the center matches, but the radius is larger. So a dilation is the same shape, just larger or smaller. So there is a dilation, and that scale factor is the ratio. So my scale factor, or ratio, is 15 over 6, But you might have seen it like this, right? Also, and sometimes even that, right? That all means the same thing. So my ratio could be written in any of these forms. And then, of course, I could reduce that, divide out of 3, to where this would have been 5/2.